the teapot. You ever think about where it came from and when? Well, before there was teapots, there was tea. And of course, just about everything to do with tea came from China. Now, the earlier Chinese dynasties, tea was actually prepared in, well, the Tang, tea was boiled in a cauldron. Under the Song, hot water was boiled in a kettle and then poured directly into serving bowls with had powdered tea in them. But sometime during the Yuan dynasty, we first come across ceramic teapots. Now, apparently they came from, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Yizing province in China, where a particular set of red, green, and purple clays and soils would be combined to create ceramic teapots. They were really very small in the beginning because the idea was to actually drink the tea directly from the teapot. So what you would do is you would have a little teapot and you would stuff it full of leaves and then pour in the water and drink it. And apparently this would make the flavor more intense. It would preserve the aroma of the tea. And you can actually see it in some Chinese period films, which people are still drinking tea directly from the teapot. Although in these films, those people tend to come across as rather uncouth. So you had these small and delicate teapots. And also, as the years went on, the appreciation of tea as a ceremonial drink, as a special event, was spreading out from the monasteries into the more general public. So you actually had, in many homes, you had a little tea altar with where you would burn incense before you made your tea to clear the air. I've actually been to a Chinese tea ceremony, and it was on during the Olympics down near Pigeon Park. And the Chinese tea ceremony, from what I observed, is very much more relaxed and casual than the Japanese tea ceremony. It's more of a thing of getting together with friends. But once again, you had the tiny, tiny teapots crammed with leaves, and you would just make a very small amount, and then you would give these people these sort of thimble bowls of tea that they would drink from, and then you would all sit around and casually converse while you're waiting for the host, who is busy all the time making more tea because it doesn't produce very much. It seemed like a very labor-intensive way to serve tea. Another interesting thing is that the tea service is done on a wooden slatted brick, well, sort of a wooden slatted surface, because everything in the ceremony was covered in hot water. There was the teapots, the serving dishes, everything. You would pour hot water over everything. So there was a reservoir under the slatted wood, and a little tube that would take away the wastewater. So yes, about this time, about the Yuan, the teapot was invented, but it became very popular during the Ming. Of course, during the Ming, Chinese trading relations spread around the world, including to Europe. And for a long time, the Europeans did not know the secret of making ceramic pots. It wasn't until 1708 when some clever bastard in Germany, Dresden in particular, understood the process for making ceramic ware. And the Dresden ceramic ware became famous around Europe. Of course, these early European designs would have been very much influenced by that was being imported from China. There's also an amusing story from the time of the Ming about during the Opium Wars, when I think it was the French and the British were occupying parts of China, and these foreign troops were occupying a tea factory. Well, that the tea factory owner was very upset because they'd left a whole bunch of tea out to dry, and he wanted to get back to it before it was ruined. Green tea. And well, at the time the Europeans allowed him to return to his tea, which had been laid out, he discovered that it had become fermented and thus ruined. So he managed to sell off his fermented, ruined black tea stock, and which became actually really rather popular, and thus was the invention of black tea. Now, you might want to take this with a bit of salt because, from what I understand, the invention of black tea actually took place in the previous dynasty. So it's a good story, but it might not be true. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. So, cheers.